CGA Tour, a podcast unlike any other. Now your host, Calvin Alexander.
Welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. As always here, I'm your host, Calvin Glen Alexander. And joining me here tonight is two of the big three in OKC. And they are actually in Oklahoma City, unlike myself here. But Joel Denicolo and Stein. Joel, how's it going?
Going well. I do got to say, appreciate the invite back. I know it's been a while, and I really appreciate you doing it after that Lakers win, because we haven't been getting a lot of those this year. So I appreciate it, because a lot of those other podcasts last year was on some loser streaks. But we got the one-game winning streak going on right now. I appreciate you, Calvin. Good time.
You got Westbrook talking up the coaches at halftime, telling them they got to do better. But you know what?
Hey, let's have fun. Let's all have fun.
Zev's repping the Thunder. I'm also repping the Thunder, and you're repping LA. You know, we're all killing it overall here, so I appreciate it. I don't know how to convert you to be a Padres fan, but that's another podcast for another time here. I don't think that's ever going to happen, to be honest. So, with that being said here, we got a couple different topics. We're getting close to the All-Star break here, so wanted to go with the All-Star starters in the East and the West, dunk contest entries, and then a little fun at the end for one team in each conference. It's in the top four of their standings that we think is going to miss the playoffs. So, I don't know, with all that being said here, Zev, I'll kick it to you. If you're making like, hey, I want this guy to be in the dunk contest this year, who's your guy? Who are you thinking?
I'm going to go a tiny bit of a throwback and say Derrick Jones Jr. I love watching the high flyer. He had a really good double pump dunk the other night. He can hang in the air for a while, and he's creative, at least when he's been in the dunk contest previously. In a perfect world, I would want to see Ja out there doing his high flying act, mimicking some like 2000 Vince Carter stuff, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see that.
Do you not have his phone number, or you got him on Instagram? Can you make it happen for us, Zev? Because I agree.
Man, I'll try to pull some strings. I'll try to pull some strings. Call my boy Steven and vicariously get there.
That's right. We got the inside with Steven. That's right.
Zev, you can't hit up LeBron? You don't got him on speed dial? Be like, LeBron, you're 20. What are you doing? Come on. Never been in the dunk contest. I mean, you're not going to do it.
That would
40,
be cool.
You know?
That would be cool.
We got a small window here.
Calvin, that's you. You guys almost share the same zip code.
True. Maybe I'll just drive by his house, so then they'll probably, never see you guys again. So I don't know. It's probably a bad idea, right?
Or you'll be invited onto the set for his next house party movie.
That's right.
You know what? Hey, would not be mad about that. He might need a voiceover assistant, for just whatever project he's working on. I'd be all there, all over it. But has Derrick Jones Jr. won a dunk contest previously?
No, I think he's competed a couple times, but I don't think he's won previously.
I think he might have won in 2020. I'm trying to look it up now.
Oh no, I think
he did get one.
Yeah, I think he won one in 2020. I'm looking through here.
Yeah, when he was with Miami. Yeah. When he was with Miami, he did win it.
Okay, cool.
Because
that's right before the world
thing here is that like no one who's like a good player, like an all-star caliber player, enters the dunk contest anymore, right? Like, I'm making the joke about LeBron joining, but we know that's never going to happen again. We're also not going to see John Morant, unfortunately. We're not going to see, Westbrook would have been awesome to do it in like 2016, 2017. Now we're a little different anyways. We're just kind of there. But I'm looking back here. I mean, Obi Toppin won it last year, and then Anthony Simons in 2021. But then when I go back a little bit further, Donovan Mitchell won it in 2018. Zach LaVine won it back-to-back years in 16 and 15. John Wall won it in 14. And then, Blake Griffin, of course, won it in 2011. Dwight Howard in 08. And then we kind of have like an interesting time here where like Desmond Mason won it in 01 and Vince Carter won it in 2000. But I mean, I forgot Kobe won the dunk contest in 97.
Yeah, he did.
And then there's a bunch of names here where I I kind of know, but I don't necessarily. Like D Brown, I've heard of before, of course. Kenny Walker.
Pop up the Reeboks.
Yeah. Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan, of course, right?
The Spud Webb one always jumps out at me. He and Nate Robinson doing the little man thing is always great.
Yeah. Well, Joel, who would you have? Who would be your dunk contest entry?
Oh, I'm going to my boy Mac. And I'm not being biased because he spent a little time with South Bay. But he was kind of a viral sensation. 5-6 years ago when he was in high school, had a lot of buzz with his creative dunks because he doesn't. I'm to be honest, he doesn't jump like a typical white boy. Let's be honest. And so seeing him get on the radar, and then obviously he went to Texas Tech, and then had a cool little matchup. One of my former players, Corian Mason at Abilene Christian, got to have a matchup with Mac when his final year at Texas Tech, which at the time we all thought he was going to get drafted. So it's a big game circled on the calendar. It's at Lubbock. Luckily, Corian held his own in that game, had a big time highlight, actually shooting over Mac McClung. But kind of always, followed him from that point on even further. And unfortunately, he didn't get drafted, but caught on. Actually, he did 2 stints with the Lakers summer league team, and so got to catch him a little bit more. But that boy has bounce. I think he also has that charisma too. When you're in a dunk contest, it's not so much about the dunk that you can do, but you got to hype up the crowd. You got to get them involved. Whether it's Dwight Howard putting on the cape or jumping over a Shaq or whatever the case may be. You got to do something special. And I think Mac has that charisma, that personality to take this serious, because this is almost when I first heard that he's going to be in the dunk contest, I said, hold on. I know we had him in the summer league, but he hasn't officially made the roster. So I had to Google real quick, and I was like, "Oh, he's in the G League, okay, with the Blue Coats, Delaware Blue Coats." So I had to catch up on some highlights on him and how he's been doing for the last few months. But I think this is almost an open audition as well. Like I said, he has a name, and they associate him for being bouncy. But I think this can really open up some doors for him for those that haven't really followed his entire career. So I'm going with my boy Mac.
I like it.
Georgetown, DMV native, then transfers to Texas Tech, falls, comes to join Chris Beard's staff, and then, ends up not following him. He's got some highlights for sure, even, in the league, but in summer league and stuff like that. So I like Mac McClung because you never know what to expect with them, but I'm going to go with the guy you really never would know what to expect, and that's Draymond. I want to see Draymond in the dunk contest for one reason alone.
What?
He leads the league in technical fouls. He's tied with Dylan Brooks, but I want to see him get the crowd into it. Dunks it through the net, then punts the ball into the stands, right? Just like no one would have seen that coming. Then no one else can do the dunks afterwards. They've got to have a whole game of like pass the ball back down. Just whatever. Draymond could make fun of himself too. He could have some nutsy kicks, at the end, like some pistachios, get sponsored. Really, he dunks and kicks at the same time. You know what? It's an idea here. But to be honest here, I would love to see Jalen Williams for the Thunder. Of all guards, he leads the league in dunks. He is 6'6". He has more dunks than John Morant on the season. And yeah, he doesn't have like the flashiest dunks ever, but I think it's because his wingspan's insane. He's got a 7'2" wingspan. He's 6'6" tall. So for his size and his height, his wingspan's insane. And I really do think he could just put on a show. He could be one of these guys who's a little bit more no name kind of. We know John Morant's not going to enter. And actually here, to be honest, kind of on my same old technical foul deal, Anthony Edwards should enter. Like,
there you go. That's a good one.
Ooh, yeah,
I like that one.
That was
He's
definitely
12th.
a pick.
He has Draymond has 13 technical fouls. Edwards is at 12, so he's only one back.
He's up there.
He could really get there in the angriness category. Maybe he gets frustrated after a couple missed dunks, and all of a sudden you don't know what to expect from there on out. He's just blowing smoke or something. Because at this point, like, I don't think the dunk contest needs saving. It's something that I hope doesn't go away, because it's always something that like we can at least see highlights of on SportsCenter the next day at the bare minimum.
Right.
But I do love the dunk contest. Like the Aaron Gordon dunk contest, it's never going to go back. And that guy is still so better. That's why his number's 50, right? Like his jersey number is 50 because he didn't win the dunk contest the year he got so many 50s. It's just one of those things where I want the dunk contest to be better. I don't necessarily think the participants are going to enter ever again. Like, I don't think the participants are ever going to be entering.
Why do you think that is? Why has that trend been a thing?
So the NBA has redone the schedule a couple different times to eliminate more back-to-backs to make it better for players' health already, right? But and
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of a little tangent here, so you have to stay with me. But because of that, it's not like players are missing less and less games, and we're seeing Paul George play so many more games, and all these players play more games when the NBA is doing stuff to help guys stay healthy, right? Like we're only seeing
Mm-hmm.
more and more injuries year over year. I think that leads to it. Is that if we were seeing less and less injuries with better medical staffs, better training, better, camera technology that tracks player movement during games, etc., and that was leading to less and less injuries, then maybe guys would. But instead, it's
Mm-hmm.
not trending that way. It's going kind of the other way a little bit, where basically at the end of the day, a lot of games just guys are missing. Like currently, the Clippers are playing, Philadelphia 76ers. And it's a rare game to see Kawhi and Paul George
Same
and James
time.
Harden and
Right.
Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid all on the court at the
Yeah.
same time.
Mm-hmm.
True. It's probably
I
the
went,
one because it's on TNT.
yeah, honestly, I went
Well,
to a game earlier this year where it was Clippers Suns, and I was originally like, "Oh man, this would be great!" Like, yeah, tickets are kind of cheap because it's on a weeknight. I think it's on like a Tuesday or Wednesday or something, and could sit kind of lower down. Also, Clippers game versus Lakers game prices are just incredibly different. But Clippers are more like Thunder ticket prices right now, from how it is. And I was like, "Oh, Kawhi's playing, cool. Oh, Paul George is playing, cool." And then no one from the Suns was playing. Chris Paul was out. Devin Booker was out. And Aiden was out, I believe. I was like,
Jeez.
"Oh, okay. What's going
Skeleton
on
crew.
here?" So like at the end of the day, I think that's more why guys are not going to be entering the dunk contest because one, their health is their literal wealth, right? Like that's not even a saying that can be overstated with the NBA, right? If you're not healthy,
Mm-hmm.
you can't play, you can't get money, you can't
Mm-hmm.
get paid, and yeah, contracts are guaranteed, but there still are clauses in it, right? Um, like if Kevin Durant was, you know, wanting to be in the dunk contest, I think every single person from the entire Brooklyn Nets staff would be like, "Hey, we'll pay you whatever to not do it. Like we'll sell you our stake in the team. We'll do whatever." Like because it's such a big risk for a guy who's had injury history like that to be in it, you know.
Mm.
And they'd want to keep it under wraps. I mean, can you imagine right now? Let's say I'm trying to think of a guy who'd be comparatively interesting to be in there. Let's say Josh Giddey or
What?
trying like I'm just saying like a guy who's like a sophomore in the league who has not gotten his like rookie extension, who still has a lot of promise, where the team would be like, "Oh, for the love of God, please do not enter the dunk contest. It's the last thing we need."
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're so much more valuable to us like as a team asset than you would be to like get some more media eyes on us, right? Jalen Williams said probably in the same boat. They're like, "Hey, you know what? So Jalen, we'd love to see it just not enter the dunk contest." Ousmane Dieng's probably in the same boat
Mm.
there, another Thunder lottery pick. Um, I mean, I just can't imagine a lot of guys are like getting the go ahead from their teams into the dunk contest. Shaden Sharp, I'm actually curious, like how his medicals are, all type of stuff, because he sat out his whole year that he was at Kentucky. He never didn't play a game, and supposedly that was an injury related issue. Comes and plays with the Trailblazers, is dunking it through the roof. I mean, he's jumping through the roof
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And he's the one guy who's confirmed for the dunk contest. Other than that, Mac McClung and who else? I just had it. Mac McClung and KJ Martin are the two that are reported. But Shaden Sharp's
Mm-hmm.
confirmed that he's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me,
Yeah.
it's like, all right, you're a rookie who's had injury issues in the past, supposedly. The Kentucky deal is just really bizarre if you look into it. It's like, why did he sit out a whole season with, and he was at Kentucky, but he wasn't. It was just kind of odd. But even that one, I'm like, well, why is he even in the dunk contest? Because he was a top 5 draft pick, I want to
Mm-hmm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
top 10.
Yeah.
Just the risk associated with it, right? Like that's kind of
Sure.
more where I can get at than anything else.
Do you think
The
that
risk is way
stems
too
from
high.
like the USA exhibition game where like Paul George goes for that crazy dunk and then has that big injury,
Oh
and
man,
then
I'll never forget that. Oh my god.
like stuff like that where it's sort of like a thing that wasn't in game and you just want to shy away from any potential big stuff like that?
Probably something like that. I mean, what's interesting is that Paul George has come back, and like the season he came back after that one, he looked like an MVP caliber guy. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily like but it is to that point. Yeah, it's quite possible that
Cool. I
teams
want
are looking at it.
Can I take a slightly different angle at this on that
Sure.
question? So if you notice, all the participants, or most of the participants, I should say, they're all obviously very, very young. Even you had mentioned Donovan Mitchell, that was his rookie year, if I'm not mistaken.
Rookie
And
or sophomore, yeah.
Yeah, and then the following year, Hamidou was in it. That was for sure his rookie year. So I think there's something to it where, like when you're talking about Ja Morant. Well, Ja Morant was a first-time All-Star last year. I think they get tied up. That weekend, that time is very short, and I think they've been playing so much basketball that they want to enjoy the weekend versus having a responsibility. So for
Huh.
some of these stars that actually have a name and are a true all-star, I think they just want to enjoy the weekend. No, they got to obviously play on Sunday, but they want to enjoy
Right.
Saturday. Saturday is a party in essence. It's kind of like the pre-party to the party part that obviously happens, as soon as they turn the lights off in the arena and then the party starts, Saturday night.
Yes.
And just a party going on Friday night as well, because there's
Mhm.
not as many events going on Friday night. So I think they just want to enjoy it, kick back, enjoy the show. So they allow the young guys that are still fighting for whether it's a roster spot or just trying to get a contract, trying to get signed to any type of deal, outside of basketball, with Sprite, whatever, shoe deal, whatever it is. I think they're trying to build up that name, so they kind of
Hmm.
leave it for those young guys to get that opportunity. Because if you go back, other than really Derrick Jones Jr., who had been in the league, I think 3 or 4 years already before he entered the dunk contest, everybody else is, like you said, rookie or sophomore year.
Mhm.
There's a few that kind of stand out. I know in 2020, Dwight Howard with the Lakers jumped back in after having a little hiatus. That was a kind of a little off the radar one, but
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
you look at the list of some of these guys. They're young and trying to make a name for themselves and really turn themselves into a brand. Just as Aaron Gordon, I think, did a really good job capitalizing off All Star Weekend and Saturday night specifically. Even
Yeah.
Zach LaVine. I mean, Zach LaVine was not who he is today if it wasn't possibly for showing off his athletic ability on a Saturday
True.
nights, and now they're kind of put it in the rearview mirror, like, okay, I've made it. Zach LaVine's on the
Mhm.
scene. I'm good. I'm over that step. That's for the young boys, which is crazy to say now. Considering Zach LaVine not young anymore. So
Right.
I think
Right.
I think there's kind of a little additional mindset behind why people are in the dunk contest versus why they
Okay.
don't decide to join.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that
Mhm.
before.
No, I like that explanation a lot as well
Mhm.
too. Just after you're established in the league, like kind of let the young guys have fun, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
kind of enjoy your weekend and stuff like that too. Especially when I think about how many guys probably go to the All Star weekend who are not even in the All Star game. I mean, there's
Yes.
24 guys on both rosters total in the All Star game, right? So out of that, it's like, all right, well, there's 400 something guys in the league, and clearly we're going to talk about guys who we think are going to get snubbed off the starter. There's definitely going to be guys who are going to get snubbed off the whole All Star ballot too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Happens
that's a
every
good
year.
point. Yeah, every single year. But I think that's how good the league is, and until the league expands, we'll have a concentration of really good players. Just besides, like, what there's 4 teams this year that I think are just not going to be it at the end of the day. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything here by saying the Hornets, the Pistons, the Rockets, and the Spurs are easily
I
4
think
teams that are
I
in the
think you're right.
Wembenyama sweepstakes, right?
Yep.
So they're shooting for Scoot Henderson, right? So
Yes,
the
either of
other,
those two things.
Mhm.
yeah, or wobbling for Wemby, I think is the other terminology I've heard.
Hmm.
That's iffy though. That's
I don't
iffy at
know how
best.
I feel about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not really a good like tanking for Wembenyama. I mean, the guy's name is just too long. So, well, Joel, who do you have for all-star starters here? I'll kick it to you here. You want to go East or West first?
Oh man, let me get the West is a little bit easier than the East. The East is pretty stacked over there.
Yeah.
Uh, so
And I'll
West,
just
yeah, go
get
ahead.
off the bat. Like, we're not trying to factor in like guys who are injured who might miss the game or not. We're just kind of going like, hey, who do you think deserves to be an all-star starter?
Yeah,
And that you can base that off of games played right now too. You can be like, hey, the guy hasn't played enough minutes to be an all-star this year. But not trying to predict like who's actually going to play in the game if they're going to sit out or play or not.
yeah, it's true. Okay. I think there's 3 on the West that are going to be obvious. I don't think there's much argument with there. We got one of the best players in basketball right now, with down south on I-35 with Luca. That's locked in and guaranteed.
Yeah.
I think you got my guy in year 20 locked in, guaranteed with LBJ. And then you got Ja Morant, who is you're right before our eyes. I mean, he's taken over the NBA as we have. It's low key a little sad, but seeing LeBron and KD, start even Westbrook, for us Oklahoma City guys, we've seen their peak, and I think they're obviously coming off their peak now, and now you're kind of seeing this young crop of guys starting to really take over. I think Ja Morant, right before our eyes, he could. I mean, give it 2-3 years. I mean, we're really talking about Ja and Luka, running not just the West but the whole NBA. So I'm looking forward to seeing him out there. So I think, in my opinion, those three are no brainers. Then kind of have a little conversation points after that. I think obviously with Jokic, got to throw him in there. Another MVP caliber season behind him, and then you can have some fun with it. You can go Curry. If I don't know games, Calvin, we got. You said it don't matter about games, right?
I mean, it's up to you if you want to factor it in. Like the
Yeah,
games played here deal for me. Like I can't. Like Anthony Davis is third most in the Western Conference front court vote getting, and he had MVP type of like stats before he went down. But he just hasn't played enough games. He hasn't played enough
yeah,
minutes
Right.
this season. He's sat out
Agreed.
too many. That's the guy where I kind of draw the line. Curry came back from injury pretty quickly, and he
hmm
is just still lighting it up, and the Warriors seem to not necessarily truly need him, but kind of need him, right? I mean, everyone needs Steph Curry at the end of the day. So that one I'm cool with.
Oh,
It's kind of like the Anthony Davis is like Zion. This would be a weird one too, because it's like
hmm
Zion's probably going to keep missing games here. You
yeah.
would think, we've got a month before All-Star weekend, so Zion's a hard one for me to put in there. Um,
Well,
but
here,
yeah,
this would be a good one to pitch that fifth spot. Let me see where y'all at. Can we get SGA? Can
yeah.
we can we
So
can we make it happen? Y'all on board? Yeah.
so for me, I've got three universal locks no matter what. Luca, I mean, I'm going off of what what this is rated as. So Luca is a guard, SGA is a guard. Like those two are just absolute locks. SGA might be because I'm biased, but at the end of the day, I mean, the guy is putting up superstar like numbers, and he's getting all-star attention left and right. And he is when he sits out a game for the Thunder sometimes win weirdly out of nowhere. But it's like
like
such a
that
bizarre
Celtics
thing. It's
game.
like, yeah, like
Celtics one.
it's like the other team decided, oh no, we got this one, and then
hmm
Oklahoma City went, no, you don't, right? And it's
hmm
just that's just and then the other team like kind of folded within the first 10 minutes. Like that Celtics game was bizarre.
Bizarre.
Um, but I gotta say for sure, Luca, SGA, and then Jokic. Those are the
hmm
three locks, no matter what. Rounding out here, you know, Joker is, I mean, he's definitely a center. I want to bring up a name, and that's just I want to bring up Lauri Markkanen. The guy has
Oh,
been crazy good this year. His stats really
Read my
do
mind.
rival LeBron's on the season. And before the season started, if any of the three of us said, "Yeah, I've got Lauri Markkanen as an All-Star," all three of us have been like,
hell no.
You've got to be kidding me! The guy who was a throw-in piece to make the trade for Rudy Gobert work, not a chance." But now I mean, Lauri Markkanen is definitely an all-star. It's just, is he a
Seems
starter
to
or
be
not?
working.
Yeah, and
I
I
watched
do
him put
think
up
they're
that
worth it.
49 point performance the other night, and it was, man, it was impressive. Threes and dunks and tough rebounds. I
Yeah,
like it.
that's at Houston. I remember that.
I also think De'Aaron Fox deserves some type of nod, here and there. Not
Yeah, but not a
necessarily
starter. Not a
truly.
starter.
No, not necessarily truly. The reason is because his clutch numbers are insane. Like he leads the league, I think, in some clutch statistics. Like I'm not necessarily going to try to get all into the efficiency stats, but
Okay.
really, like if I'm putting a lineup together, right? I'd have SGA, guard, Luca, guard, forward, Markkanen, another forward, DeMontis Sabonis, and then center, I have Joker. And I know that leaves LeBron not starting. I don't know what to do there. Like I don't like LeBron is so freaking good, and I understand that he's always been awesome. But like I hear enough, like listen to like LA, radio and TV, whatever, how LeBron's just as good as he's always been. I'm like, that's discrediting 2013 LeBron. That's discrediting 2009 LeBron. Like he's good, but if you're taking one guy for a night and you have to take LeBron or Luka or SGA or Joker or maybe Lauri Markkanen. I think you're
No,
probably saying
no, that's
LeBron. Well, no. I mean, I think you're
okay.
probably saying
I was about to say
no. I think you're probably saying LeBron, but that's for
Okay.
one
First
night.
four, yes.
But that's for one night. I
Yeah.
think for a 7-game series, you're like, well, maybe I can have this conversation, and that's where we're at with LeBron. It's like the dude's been in the league for 20 years. It's almost like a Tom Brady deal at this point, where it's like, how long do you want to keep playing? Because you'll probably keep playing for as long as you want to on some team, you know.
Well, you heard that last Friday's interview. He's made it. It's already been confirmed, but now he made it official with the ESPN interview. He's playing with the Sun. I mean, I know that's been a goal that he's kind of
Both
been
or
bouncing
just
around.
Bronny?
I think that it could possibly try. I was thinking about that too. I was like, okay, Bronny's, that's the obvious one. That's going to happen very easily within 2 years.
Mhm.
But you got his other son. I believe he is. Correct me if I'm wrong. 8th or 9th grade. 9th grade, right?
Gosh, if he's
He's.
that
I think
young,
he's. I think
man.
he's a freshman, and Braun is a
It'll be a
senior right
while.
now in high school. Man, I mean, it was tough to watch Tom Brady last night. Take a
Oh, real
beating
tough.
to. Obviously, I was cheering for him to beat the Dallas Cowboys, but it was tough seeing him out there. And I think he reached his limit. He is done. And I know football and being a quarterback in the NFL is completely different than comparing it to a ball dominant player in the NBA. But we keep saying it. It's like you said, it's year 20. And even though it's not that same athletic 09 Braun, this is still a very efficient Braun that can really have a strong impact on a game. So
For sure.
we're just entering every year. Every game is uncharted territory for where we're at as not just sports fans and NBA fans, but to see his legacy continue and for him to say, hey, I want to be like, King Griffey Jr. and Sr. got to play, in the 90s together. He's like, that's my goal. I want to do it. And it's extremely realistic with Bronny, but I like how you brought that in. It's like, what if you stretched it out to have Bryce out there? Oh my God.
Well, and the NBA is one of those things where Udonis Haslem is still getting paid. So I'm not comparing LeBron to Udonis Haslem. So no
Right.
one's
And
gonna
before him, how long was Juwan Howard in the league before him?
also
Yeah.
also a
Patrick
good
should have
point.
retired.
But
Mhm.
like let's say if we're putting examples here, let's say Bronny's a four-star right now. Who knows necessarily where he's going to go to college? Maybe he'll announce tonight randomly. I don't know where. I doubt it. But depending on where Bronny goes to college and depending on where his kind of draft prospects are at, like he's probably going to be a first-round draft pick because LeBron's contract will expire, and you would figure LeBron would want to go sign as a free agent with that team. And no one's going to talk me out of the fact that LeBron wouldn't be useful on any NBA team in the next 5 years. Like he's gonna have a use. Like either that be like kind of the player coach vibes, kind of like the Nick Collison deal with Oklahoma City, or I mean, I just said Udonis
Yeah.
Haslam. Juwan Howard. You said that Zev. So LeBron will find his way on the team no matter
But
what.
remember, the NBA will have the rule change as far as you not having to go to the 1 year sit out. So that'll
Mm,
benefit Bryce on getting that
Mm.
chance. So we don't have to have that extra year like Bronny's going to have.
Hmm.
So keep that in mind on our math.
that's true too. So, and I know for my 5 year. So I'll just put it down one more time to recap. I've got Luca, SGA. I'm gonna say Lauri Markkanen just because I think it's at this point, Joel. I know you got LeBron, so I'm just gonna be different. Lauri Markkanen, Domantas Sabonis, and the Joker,
Hmm.
Jokic, and that's my 5 year. I know I left off Steph Curry and John Morant. I don't know what to do. I mean, Luca's 6'8". Like Luca's a forward, and he just is a ball dominant forward. Like so is LeBron, right? Like
Mhm.
we're all in this positionless basketball, but this is currently how the All-Star voting happens. This is the way it works. So we're having to do the same constraints that All-Star voters are doing too, right? Like I'm not trying
Yeah.
to get special privileges. So that's what I'd say at the 5. And honestly, you know what? It's probably Steph instead of SGA. SGA, no matter what, deserves to be an All-Star. So I'm not gonna be talked out of that one whatsoever. But it's probably gonna be Steph over SGA, and then probably Luca, and then the 3 other guys, probably Jokic and I don't know. Sabonis, I would figure, but I'm not sure. So, Zev, who do you have? Who are your 5 here?
I have. Man, I always hate these because no matter what I pick, I always feel like I'm the other thing could be better or might be better. It's hard for me to have a confident pick, but I'll go backward here. I have Jokic, LeBron, and Lauri Markkanen together because they can either of them play the 3 or the 4. I think they're sort of interchangeable. And then I would say, as much as I want SGA, God, I want it so bad. I think that he's just going to be an all-star and not a starter. So I'm going to round it out with John Luca, just because they're going to be the face of the NBA, like Joel was saying, and they not only have the talent, they have the swag, the personalities to back it up, and I love watching both. I just wish that Luca would stop yelling at the refs so much and just get back on defense, but that's fine.
It's getting bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to ask about some of that stuff. Maybe we can get together in another month here with Walt and go into more a little bit of that because the talking to the refs the entire time and not get back on defense when the other team gets an easy bucket is getting pretty noticeable for certain guys.
Yeah.
Say right.
It's pretty damn annoying.
All right. Well, Zev, I'm gonna round robin back to you though. What about for the East? Who do you have here?
Man, okay, this one was this was a lot tougher because there's so many people. There was about, I'd say, 9 or 10 people playing well enough to start, maybe 7 or 8 people. But I tentatively landed on them. Some of this might be hot takes. I got Trey and Donovan at the guard spots. Joel, Jason Tatum, and Giannis. Because I'm assuming Kevin Durant's not going to play the All-Star. If he plays, I would swap him for probably Tatum, but I'm assuming he's not going to play.
Okay. Yeah. Tatum would miss All-Star starter. That's interesting. Because I'm trying to go with that idea. It's like not if the guy would play or not, but if the guy deserves to be an All-Star starter today, right?
Right.
That's kind of what I'm basing off of.
Okay.
You know, as far as like injuries and stuff. So no Trae Young. You're not putting Trae Young in your.
No, he was the point guard.
Trey. He said Trey. Guess Calvin don't like that.
Trae Young's in every trade conversation so far this year. No DeJounte
Right,
Murray?
but he's still averaging like 27 and 9, man. Like you can't ignore that.
Can't ignore it. You're right. But
I mean, I'm sorry if you don't like that Mr. Tumnus can shoot, but it's
but he can't shoot.
I love it.
I mean, he can shoot, but it's just he's
Yeah,
not a great teammate. It's it's all that other stuff. That kind of. I'm surprised you don't have Tyrese Halliburton, honestly, over Trae Young.
Again, I was factoring in injuries, so I didn't realize.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about who is probably going to play this game. That's what I was thinking.
All right, gotcha. Joel, what are you thinking though? Does your list differ a lot than Zev's?
Nah, not at all. I'm right on the same page with Zev.
Hell yeah.
I think with the East, I think they have more quality all-stars from top to bottom. But when it comes to the starters themselves, I do think that they do somewhat separate themselves. Obviously with the Embiid and Tatum and Giannis, self-explanatory. But with Trae Young is still putting up major numbers. His 3-point percentage has obviously dropped off a little bit this year compared to his last 3 seasons or so. But his scoring is still right on par. So I think it takes a little bit out of it, with the record of the Hawks or being somewhat disappointing, but. It's kind of one of those things, this is all stars, it's kind of, you get a chance to separate somewhat the record of the team. You know what I mean? This is all stars. These are the best players in the NBA.
Like Westbrook in the 2016-2017 season putting up that MVP, but the Thunder sucked.
Mm-hmm.
He's still there.
Exactly. So,
and I can't be too high on, SGA and the Thunder, and then basically contradict myself here talking about the Hawks, right? So I can't have it both ways,
Come on now.
I mean, Joel knows, Zev knows, literally everyone who ever listened to one episode of the podcast for more than 5 minutes knows that I'm a huge Oklahoma State fan, which means I'm not a huge Trae Young fan. I'm not a huge Blake Griffin fan, etc. I'd say my list is it's very similar. I have Giannis, Embiid, and then I think KD at the end of the day over Tatum, just because I don't know. Tatum's good. Tatum's great. He's probably on an all-star trajectory, but it's kind of like this month here before the all-star game. It's like his time to prove it, right? Like it's almost his time to like take over games. The Celtics are also they're number 1 or 2 in the East. It's hard for me to say that they don't deserve one all-star starter.
True.
Like that'd be crazy.
I will also say that Jason Tatum plays in a better team system, and so you're not going to see him doing as much of the crazy one-on-one scenarios as Kevin Durant is doing, because the Nets play a lot more iso ball run stuff through Kyrie and Kevin, so there's a lot more features of him.
Yeah, and KD almost has to be a soldier and creator with that. Like to add on to your point here, right? Like he has to be doing all of it. Kyrie's just not. I don't know. Kyrie's not necessarily. Tyrese Halliburton leads the league in assists per game, but I do think he might miss too many games here if he's not playing for like this next month. Basically, it looks
right.
That's annoying and kind of bad. Hurts his chances of starting the All-Star game. I do think it's interesting though, and I'm just like looking at all the stats here. Is that like Buddy Hield leads the league in 3-pointers made, which I did not know, but he leads it by a lot, by 25, over Anthony Simons.
That's because Tyrese is setting him up so well.
Yeah,
and TJ
how I'll go down. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Is
2 really good passes.
Is it worth talking about? Jaylen Brown a little bit, or who's the other guy?
As a starter, no. As an all-star in general, yes.
Okay.
Only because the East is so stacked. If I don't know, if Donovan Mitchell was not having as good of a season as he was having, I would put Jaylen Brown there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got for sure Donovan Mitchell's the 4th player out of mine here, and then 5th, Drew Holiday. Is he worth a mention? Could the Bucks have 2 starters? Tough. I know. Stat wise, it's not there.
I want it because I really like him and I like watching that team, but I think there's probably a list of about 3 or 4 guys who I think would deserve it more in the East.
Yeah.
What about?
That's probably right, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're gonna bring up Drew Holiday, I mean, wouldn't Kyrie Irving be right there with it?
Right. So that's that's what I was going to bring up. It's really interesting that he leads with like 3 million votes, and we haven't even mentioned him. Like I don't know. He's playing really, really great. I think he's also just still sort of a hot potato, and isn't exactly easy for me to root for yet.
Yeah, I mean,
he plays great. I mean, the man actually dunked in game this season, so that was pretty cool. But he's got some great individual highlights. He's playing well. He seems to have turned around his mentality. But I got to be honest with you, I still have not forgotten about his weird anti-vax wishy-washiness and his anti-Semitism stuff that he hasn't really fully apologized for, and it's just hard for me. It's just hard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just try to keep it basketball. He was a big contributor in that winning streak that they. Oh
yeah.
He was. Well, remind me, how many did it get to? That Nets winning streak? I know it's over now, but what did they get up to?
It was 12, I think. 12
yeah, that's what I thought. 12, 13. I know he was putting up some big numbers there in that streak, and they played some really good team. I mean, they had the Bucks was in that line of wins for them. So I know for us Thunder fans, they just got done playing, I believe, on Sunday, and one of those crazy wins for the Thunder is one of those. Man, how'd they do it?
A lot of those this year.
But no, Kyrie, I think he's definitely still involve that conversation of being a starter.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
think Kyrie would have to be over Drew Holiday. I don't think I can. I think you guys talked me into it.
Yes.
I do want to say just Zev, on your point here, it would be very interesting to see Kyrie Irving start an All-Star game from everything that's happened off the court. But then again, he's put up the stats, he's put up the numbers, he's put up the minutes played, he's
Well,
put
that's
up all
true.
the other stuff here that's on the court, and it's pretty easy to make sure a guy is not doing a bunch of media stuff through ESPN if you're asking him not to, or asking ESPN not
Mhm.
to when you're giving them access, right? Like the NBA does control which team personnel and which media entities get access to the All-Star weekend. So, and also I don't think ESPN or any of the other media entities are dumb enough to try to go after Kyrie to get a better answer than the one they already got. Like I think that's kind of in the past.
Right,
Like
right.
let's
No,
leave it
I
there
think
and
that
kind of move on.
the dust has settled on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
the East is just really tough because there's a bunch of guys that you could argue for getting that starting spot.
For sure. I think the key one is like, all right, of these three guys, KD, Embiid, and Jason Tatum, you got to pick 2 out of 3, and you got to, because no
Mhm.
matter what, Giannis has it, and then the other spots are for the backcourt. So
Mhm.
that's really what's tough here is and you're also like when I'm saying okay, let's have Jokic at center in my lineup, like well, the guy shoots more threes than any center we've ever seen, start an All-Star game and make, right? So it's not, is he a center? Is he not? Like, it's all positionless basketball. So Giannis is a center, like, all right, guy probably really is like a power forward, small forward, but he also dunks the ball an incredible amount and plays a lot of, center on defense. So it's tough for me to be like,
Mhm.
oh, you know what? Like, you got to choose between him, Embiid, KD, and Jason Tatum when all three of those guys probably could be said they all play different positions every night they play too. So
Man,
when
if
it comes down to it.
you'd mentioned the Tyrese being the assist leader. If you look at those assist leaders from 1 to 10, I mean, you got Joker at 2 with everybody else being point guards. That's crazy if you think about that. 1 through 10, 9 point guards, and you got Joker at number 2. Joker's dishing out more assists than Trae Young and Luka Doncic.
That's
I know.
nuts.
I know when you're talking about MVP, everybody kind of gets a little wishy-washy when you're like, oh, he's already had it, once or twice. We need to give somebody else. When you're doing stuff like that, you can get it more than once.
Agreed.
What I think is bizarre about the assist leaders in the league right now is that, Halliburton's at 409, then Joker's like 30 back. He's at 382. Like Halliburton is and the Pacers are not incredible. Like the Nuggets have guys. I mean, partly because of Joker, but the Nuggets have dudes.
Hmm.
If I have to name the starting 5 of the Pacers right here, right now, I'm not sure I'd get it correctly. I mean, I know Buddy Hield, I know Miles Turner, and then honestly, I'm trying to think through the rest of them. I feel like I don't know. I mean, I don't know who starts center for him every night. I don't know who starts the other wing spot.
Well,
Basically,
I know one guy who started some games. It used to be your favorite player 2 years ago.
go for it. What? Jalen Duren? No, not Jalen
You're
Duren.
yeah,
Jalen
you're right.
Smith.
Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
I think he was on the wrong side of a poster recently, if I'm not mistaken. That was your
Yes.
guy.
Oh my gosh.
That dunk's about to put him out the league.
Oh, he was out of it already for a minute. That Suns draft has to be looked at as one of the weirdest ones ever. Halliburton was drafted after him. I mean,
that was
that
your
was,
rookie of the year, Calvin. I'm never gonna let you down.
and that's fair. I've had some monumental picks. I picked Oklahoma State to win Bedlam for the past 3 years in a row, and I've gotten 1 out of 3 correct. And I'll hang my hat on that one, honestly, because I'm not getting most of those. So, also like offensive rebounds of Steven Adams. But the last thing I'd say here for the assist deal is Westbrook is 5th in assists in the league, and he doesn't start. It's just bizarre. And the Lakers also
They've kind of
they
figured it
don't
out.
have the Lakers also don't have a ton of shooters. I mean, it's just like
He still
Westbrook,
plays
like
almost 30 minutes a game, though. I mean, he
that's
don't start, but he still
that's
plays
true.
almost 30 minutes.
That's
He's
true.
closing out most of the games.
That's true. Because Pat Beverly's too small, so that's part of it. Not gonna pass up a chance to throw shade on Pat Bev.
Calvin, before you jump to the next topic,
Yeah.
I have a goal for my son. So obviously
Okay.
he's 4 years old. I'm coaching his YMCA team. He got sick there during December, missed some practice games. He's back in it now. And I told him if he can pull it off, there's a couple games left in this winter season. He's really starting to catch on to NBA names, not even names, but even like celebrations, just little personality things about him. And we kind of go through all of the superstar celebrations, but he knows with Westbrook doing the rock the baby or he's too little. When you run back, I said you do one of those, man. I promise you, it's going to go viral on YouTube, and I'm going to give you at least $20 of the cut, man. Whatever we can make off this viral, but you got to do your part though. You got to get the bucket, and you got to run back on defense and either rock it or come back and say he's too little.
I wanted to hit the kind of when the Josh Giddey did the too little the other night, where he's like just kind of like side eye back at the camera. Did you see Josh Giddey made like basically a layup on Nick Claxton? Also, Nick Claxton had a quote today where he's like, "I guard all 5 positions. I should be defensive player in the league." And then one of the Thunder writers, not from the Thunder, but just a guy who covers him, was just replied back with this basically GIF of Josh Giddey just putting up a shot. Like it's shot. Like Josh Giddey's just down low, just boxes him out inside, hits him with a couple times with a shoulder, goes up and in, and then just goes, too small, whatever. He's 6'8". Josh Giddey's not a small dude. I mean, it's kind of like how you're telling me like Westbrook's playing 3 minutes a night. It's like, well, Josh Giddey might play guard, but he is not a guard size, right? Yeah. Like we just all know. Yeah.
Right.
But I do want to ask you guys here. So NBA standings wise, I know it's the standings right now. East and West is super close together, especially in the Western Conference. I mean, you've got basically the 4th team here in the Sacramento Kings, 4th in the standings. They've got 24 wins, and then the Phoenix Suns are 12th in the standings with 21 wins. So
hey, go one more. Hey, go one more down. Okay. Name the 13th team. Give me one more. Go down to the 13th, please. Don't just cut us out like that, man. Don't cut us out like that, man. How you going to draw the line at 13? How you going to draw the line at 21, but not give us the 20? We got 20 of them.
Because you have 6 more losses than the 4th place team. I had to cut it off at some point. I mean, but I mean, 6 more losses. I don't know. I don't know what to do there.
We're
the winning percentage.
We're a game out of the playing game. We're good. We're a game out of the playing game. We're good.
What? True. The Thunder are also a game of the playing game. So are the Suns, and I mean, really, I should have stopped at the Lakers, because then that drops way off at the Spurs with 13 wins. So you're right. Good calling me out there. But let's say here, maybe I'll expand it to include like the top 5 in the West. But of the top 5 teams in the West, because at least the Kings and the Mavericks have the same amount of wins. I know that the losses are different. But of the top 5 teams, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Kings, and Mavericks. I think I know everyone's answer here, but which of those 5 teams do you guys think is most likely to miss the playoffs? And I think I know the answer real quickly, but
I think we should all say that. We should all say it in unison.
That's what I was going to say. Yes.
3, 2, 1. Beam team.
Sacramento Kings.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Beam team. That was good.
I don't see the Mavericks missing the playoffs. I don't see the Pelicans missing the playoffs unless some weird thing happens with Zion where he just doesn't come back and Brandon Ingram can't play either. And then Grizzlies and Nuggets, like, they're making the playoffs. So,
right.
I mean, honestly, the Clippers are 6 here. They're 23-22 on the season. They barely have a winning record. If I expanded one more slot here to 6, I'd say the Clippers miss it more than the Kings at this point. I don't know. I mean, the Clippers, like, they just don't.
Kawhi and Paul are only going to get healthier. They're only going to get healthier, though. I don't think they're going to get worse.
I don't know if they'll get worse, but they're 23-22. Like, they're not. Like
right,
not
but they have that's been with
up.
Load management and all of that stuff and all of that. As the season winds on, that'll get more fluid, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what Kawhi only playing 21 games, and he still he started out on a big time minute restriction early. I'm not sure what it is. I'm sure it's gone now, but I think that really affected not just you can't say Kawhi's back and we're back good. It was we got Kawhi back, but he only played X amount of minutes, and that lasted multiple weeks. And now here we are. It's January 17th, and they're still holding on. I mean, to be 6th in the West is. It's a log jam, but for them to be able to get through this first, half of the season and be sixth, and knowing that their stars have only played half, on average half the games or close to half the games of what they've got. The Clippers can put it together.
I also trust the coaching of Ty Lue more than the coaching of Mike Brown, just personally.
There you go. I like that point.
All right, and that's a great point. I mean, the coaching there for sure. The games that I've seen the Clippers play, when Amir Coffey is playing a lot of minutes in some games, and you've got, I don't even know, Usa Diabate and Brandon Boston Jr., like those guys are not averaging a lot of minutes per game, but there's some nights they are playing, 20 plus minutes in games. And I just, the health thing gets to me. The health, the injury history from Paul George and Kawhi just gets to me at some point. And the Kings are not bad. Like the Kings are decent. I don't think, if I had to bet,
True,
do I think the
but they're
Clippers or the
young
Kings,
and they haven't proven anything yet.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they haven't made the playoffs in forever. But if I had to pick either of those teams to finish fifth or better in the West, I'd pick the Clippers. But if I had to pick either team to make the playoffs, I think I have to bet some money on it. I think I'd say the Kings, just from that, because I think the Kings they are young, they are healthy, and this Cole Clippers deal has just been weird. Like Kawhi basically hamstrung his own team when he came there. I mean, he's also got hamstring injury perpetually, but he's really just held back the Clippers at the end of the day. When he's, hey, I want to go play for him, and wants basically that trade, and the Thunder know what they, that the Clippers are only going to get Kawhi if they also get Paul George. I mean, can you imagine SGA on this Clippers team right now? I mean, the trade probably doesn't happen with the Thunder, and Paul George, if the SGA's not included. Like, I can't think it happens. But
I'm really grateful for that trade, but I know that the Clippers Nation maybe is not grateful for that trade. But
maybe it's year 4, but we're on like 4 or 5 years of this team. Just we'll wait and see. We'll see what we got. And just is never. This is more my animosity towards the Clippers. It's just when are you gonna put it together? Like when is it gonna be? All right, this is what you got. It seems like now we have enough evidence to know this is kind of it. They did bounce the Mavericks and a younger Luka out of 2 playoff series, so that's worth something for sure to be said too. But they just have not. The health consistency has just not been there whatsoever.
That's valid.
Yeah, I think with the Clippers, this is the Kawhi and Paul George. This is the 3rd year. I mean, this is make it or break it. Yeah, because Kawhi won the championship in 2019. Yeah, with the Raptors, and then he just did the one and done with the Raptors, which is so funny. Something about that I like. It was good for Toronto, obviously, to get on the map, but to see.
Well, this is year 4. This is year 4 for both guys. Kawhi didn't play last year. This is year 4.
He missed the whole year. You're right. He missed the whole year.
You're right.
That's what, So 4th total, but 3 with him playing. So you can't hurt. I mean, you can't take it out on Kawhi. But yeah, this is the make it or break it year. Fair. If they fall short, and I would imagine anything less than getting past the 2nd round would be a disappointment. And you might see some major moves. I mean, those are 2 guys. We're kind of, again, 2 guys superstars, but they're both past their peak. They're not far off their peak, but they're past their peak. So it'd be interesting. Calvin, that new arena they're building. I mean, that's right by your stadium. Is going to be ready next year. It's next year, right? So maybe they hold on to it.
Yeah, I think 2024. Yeah, I get kind of confused in how that all works, but I think it's supposed to be ready by. And they're throwing it up real quick. I mean, I think they could have it ready next year. It sounds right.
Yeah, because I was wondering that they might hold on to because I think that kind of started the initial concept of, hey, we got 2 Hall of Famers, 2 superstars right now. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on building this arena. And so I would hate to see the grand opening out of the arena and not see one or both of those guys in the Clippers uniform. So they might hold on to it and to at least get that arena open.
For sure. I'm a skeptic before I'm a believer with most things, and the Clippers have not shown me any reason to have a ton of promise. Like, okay, you know what, they're gonna figure out, put it together. Like Reggie Jackson's sitting, most nights for him now. Not. He's still playing games. He's just not starting. He's coming off the bench. Better way to say it. And Kawhi is superhuman when he plays. Like, he is superhuman. He's amazing. Looking at his per 36, looking at his minutes per game of his last, full season where he was able to play games. 2020, 2021, he played 52 out of, I believe that was the season that was 72 games, if I remember correctly, because maybe that was the year before 1920 was the year before the pandemic. So he played 52 out of 72 games. That's a pretty good percentage overall. He played 4 minutes a game and averaged 24.8. Like, Kawhi when he plays is just amazing. But playing 19 games so far this year is really good. Almost 30 minutes. I mean, basically 30 minutes a game here. I'm curious when or if Kawhi will have an MVP type season or a couple of game span again. That's what kind of I'm curious about here, right? Like, it's Kawhi's team, and everyone else is just kind of trying to figure out when he's good. At the end of the day, the guy is. I'd say he'll have a super bizarre NBA career. He plays one season in Toronto, wins him a ring, and then dips. Like, that's never been done, I don't think. Plays 7 seasons with the Hall of Famer head coach, the GOAT head coach probably of all time in the league, Greg Popovich, and then doesn't like the Spurs, who, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone likes the Spurs, like, who's played for him. So this guy's going to have a super weird career. He comes to the Clippers, comes home, doesn't go to the Lakers, though, when he has the chance, I think.
Right.
The guy's just going to have a super weird career no matter what, and I'm not going to be able to understand it until maybe it's over. Maybe that's part of this, too. Talking out. But I'd say, all three of us are in agreement. Kings are probably the team here that missed the playoffs out of the top 4 in the West. And honestly, maybe out of the whole West, of teams that are currently in the top 6, right? Because the rest is playing 7 through 10. So I think we'd probably all be in agreement that, yeah, it's probably the Kings have to prove it. Because they're the one that's doesn't have the history of making it before, So,
right, and
I'd
they're
say the
so
Jazz
young
too,
that
but the
they
Jazz
could
are 8th,
have like
and
a.
they're one game under 500.
And they're a young team, so they could have a series of really good games and then a series of really bad games all in a row, or an injury or something like that.
For sure. Well, with that being said, here in the East, it's a little bit more differentiated, but I'll do 5 because technically the Cavs have one more win than the Sixers, but they're tied because the Sixers have one less loss because it's games played here basically. So Celtics, Nets, Bucks, 76ers, Cavs. Of those 5, which team do you think is going to miss the playoffs here if you had to pick one? And I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case here. I think probably all 5 make it, but if you had to pick one, who do you think?
That's tough. That's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot. Those are lock teams. Because you got to look at the teams behind them. I don't see you can't see the Knicks passing any of those 5 teams. You know what I mean? I can't see the Pacers passing any of those 5 teams. So I know your question is definitely to get an answer. None of them are going to be good. Obviously, just the Cavaliers, possibly. I think they have probably the most youth out of the above team mentions. With the Celtics, Bucks, obviously veterans that have heavy playoff experience. Of course, with the Nets, 76ers. So, for the sake of the question, I'll say the Cavaliers, but with no confidence behind that on them missing the playoffs. But
yeah, the only one I could throw out there is the Nets. That's purely injury related. That's purely just injury related overall. Otherwise, I think it's the Cavs. And this question more comes so as like the East, like if the Heat were in the top 5, I'd say, oh, maybe them because of some weird Jimmy Butler trade right before the deadline, and they kind of decide to just tank the last minutes, try to get basically top 10 odds or something weird. But then again, like they're the Miami Heat, they're not going to do that. That's just not part of their DNA. They've never had to do that. They've found guys in the draft wherever it seems. And the other couple of teams here, like the Wizards aren't passing anyone, the Raptors aren't passing any of these guys.
No.
The Bulls and the Heat are the only 2 teams where I'm like, well, maybe they have the history, and the Hawks too. Possible, but those 3 teams are the only ones that I can be like, okay, you know what? Maybe they will take over, but they'll take over the Knicks. Maybe the Cavs they'll beat out for the 5th spot, but they're not going to beat out. The Cavs are not going to miss the playoffs, right? The Cavs at worst are probably the 6th seed.
I don't think so. I think that combination of Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and
Darius Garland.
It's so good.
Darius is so good, yeah.
Because you can either pick and pop or pick and roll at any given time, and it doesn't matter. They can get whatever they want. And then Donovan can score 71 whenever he wants, apparently.
That game was crazy. He had 20 in the first half, I think, and then he scored 71 in the game.
It was
one
nuts.
overtime.
The most ridiculous part of that was the missed free throw, him getting the rebound and getting it in.
And Luka did the same thing like a couple nights before that. He had the same deal. So that was, I'd say Luka needs to be on more national television so people can come around to the idea that maybe he's not the perfect player to watch, just because he is a little bit frustrated with the refs than I'd like for a guy to be. Especially when you're thinking about the end of the day that team basketball's got to be a deal. And I don't know if you guys have played any pickup recently, but it really sucks playing pickup basketball when you're the tallest dude out there at 6'2", and everyone's just decided to shoot threes the whole game. It's just really annoying. It's like, oh, let's ISO Calvin. No, let's not. Let's not put me in a pick and roll and 2 double screens and switch and some pickup basketball. What are we doing? But I'm getting crossed over left and right. It's just not a good deal. But getting crossed over left and right, or the guy shoots an open 3 and everyone's looking at me like, you got to close out. I'm like, guys, I'm not fast. Like, this isn't happening. But I think that's kind of like the NBA at this point, right? Like, we're seeing a lot of ISO heavy ball where it's not necessarily, not a ton of plays are being ran, and if they are, it's kind of basically like the pick and pop, kind of basically the pick and roll, some high ball screens, right? Like, that's what every team does now too. But a lot of teams,
except I would agree, but there's like 6 teams that are in the top 8 of both conferences that are elite passing. Like I'm looking at like Milwaukee and Boston, Denver, Memphis, and even throw in Golden State. I know they're not in the top 4, but of the best teams still pass the best, I think.
Yeah, I mean, win shares is, it's Jokic's stat, assists per game, Halliburton, rebounds per game, Sabonis, and points per game, Luka, right? I think that kind of tells you how each team plays. Like the Mavericks are super ISO heavy and they basically have Luka. But then Jokic, like that's a team truly playing basketball. And the Warriors too. Like the Warriors, I've heard this on several podcasts, and so I'll just kind of reiterate the point. Like, everyone would play the same offense that the Warriors do if they had the personnel. But no one has the personnel the Warriors do. Like, you just, all three of us would be coaching in the NBA if we could figure out how to get the personnel to fit the Warriors offense. But that just isn't a thing. It's just not, I mean, who else has those guys? And as much crap as I give Draymond Green on every podcast that I can, the dude's basketball IQ is insane. Like, so also him being able to know what's going on and being a great defensive player, but also put up like a 7-7-7 night almost on average is crazy. All the stuff that he does just to help that team win when Steph's out. He does lead the league in techs. He's 2 away from getting a game suspended, but the Warriors will probably survive that. They probably don't, necessarily need him to play every single game too, because that's how deep they are. I don't know. Enough Warriors fandom already, though. I'm not necessarily a Warriors fan at all. I'm just really jealous of their team success.
Well, and they have it built to last too. If you really think about it, you could see again, big picture. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson aren't going to play for the Warriors their entire career. I think at least Klay will probably be bouncing before Steph, but they have it built where you could be, Jordan Poole. If it was, again, way down the line, Jordan Poole could be the next Steph Curry. And I think they obviously drafted Moses Moody to kind of have that same idea to be the next Klay Thompson. And then I think that where they're having some issues, obviously, is that James Wiseman has not panning out to take on
Right.
I don't want to say the Draymond. Nobody can be a Draymond. That's a diamond in the rough. But
Well,
having
I think they more need like a
force at
more
the
like
rim.
Kevon Looney, but more of a unicorn Kevon Looney kind of
Yeah,
role.
but he hasn't panned out. But yeah, then they have Kaminga. I think Kaminga has still some growth
A
to
lot of
do,
upside.
but a lot of upside. I like Kaminga a lot. The more and more I watch him play, to kind of be that athletic wing. I know, that Andre Iguodala was for them for a while. Harrison Barnes was in that role, early on in his
Mm-hmm.
career, but kind of just that athletic freak, 3-and-D type of player. But Kaminga's, I think he has a chance to have an all-around game put together here in the next few years potentially. So, like you said, the Warriors have a little blueprint put together for if and when they lose.
True.
Pretty confident Draymond would be the first one to jump ship, especially for his love for LeBron. I think he wants to jump on jump on that bandwagon
Yes.
and share that same jersey with LeBron soon. And then Clay also, I could see him bouncing. Steph, I think, Golden State's going to lay out, as they've already done, the red carpet for him, whatever he wants, whatever his dollar amount or whatever parking spot he wants at the arena. He's going to get whatever he wants to make sure that he can, because it's something that the NBA is missing right now is, players that finish their careers where they started.
Mm-hmm.
You think of Kobe and Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, but those, I think it's good for basketball, good for the NBA to have those players that will stick around, and hopefully Giannis can follow suit as well.
Agreed.
Well, with your point here, Joel, about guys not sticking with the same team for several years at a time, I do want to ask you guys this about a little bit about NBA team identity. Do you think we should rein in the amount of jerseys that are in distribution? Right, like you can. So the reason why I'm asking about this is because the Spurs Warriors played in the Alamo Dome not like a couple Fridays
Friday,
back, right?
No, it was this Friday.
Or
It was
last,
this past
last
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Wow, my timeline's horrible. And so they both played in City Edition jerseys, I think. And so the Warriors played in this what I think is kind of cool,
I like
black
'em.
and gold jersey. It
I
was
like
nice.
'em.
It's a little odd when the jersey's untucked because it's extra long to show a whole rows, but it's beside the point. Spurs played in kind of their cool, I'd say retro-ish inspired.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a retro jersey, but they're teal colored as well. Also, the Pistons have a teal colored jersey. Also, several other NBA teams wear black. It seems like we got a lot going on. In 3 years from now, got a photo of, let's say, Jeremy Sochan matching up against Kaminga. I don't know if that was even a matchup in the game. I don't know if both those guys played. But let's say both those guys, it's a photo and you can't see a logo. Are we going to know? We're going to know what, who those two teams were, what was going on. It's just, there's so much going on. And it's so hard for, several friends I have are yeah, I'll follow the NBA after the All-Star break. And it used to be, hey, I'll follow the NBA after the Christmas day. And now it's almost getting pushed back a little bit farther because it's all right, yeah, I'll tune in after the Super Bowl, basically. It's kind of after the All-Star break kind of comments here. But do you think the NBA should rein in on the jerseys? A little bit, just kind of chill out on how many jerseys there are.
Yes, especially for some things, I think if it's especially the color schemes that really have nothing to do with what the teams normally do, I think that's where I start to get really confused. Unless it's where Miami has their pink nights, which I think is really cool. But I think there a lot of teams have gone a little bit crazy. I really don't like when the Thunder wear their all white weird City Edition jerseys. Those bother me.
I think those look awesome, but I'm in agreement that those are not the Thunder blue, right? Or
or orange or anything.
The Pistons have their retro teal jerseys with a horse, which is just sick. I think they wore those. I want to say last year, maybe last year I think it was Cade's first year. This year they've got a green jersey, which throws it back to some city inspired stuff and everything has a tie-in. But on the flip side, the Thunder have black jerseys, which looks sick. Don't get me wrong. All the jerseys I think look good because I'm a fan of just new stuff overall. But it's also this is not something we're used to seeing.
It's overkill. It's overkill.
Yeah,
it is overkill.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, they release them a new City Edition jersey every year, and they only wear it for that year. So I believe that one that Zev you're talking about the white and gray, which is white and gray only because they even had the
Right.
matching court. That was for last year only. They haven't wore those jerseys, if
Okay.
I'm mistaken, this year, and they haven't done that gray court. It was just gray and
I
white.
really did not like that.
I didn't like the court either.
That messed with my eyes. I wasn't
Yeah.
It was
cool with it.
really weird to see on TV. It was really
very
cool to
weird.
see in person, but it was really weird to see on TV.
But they only
Yes.
you only host 41 home games, and I know it doesn't tie together home games, but I think they only wear the jerseys. Calvin, 10 times?
Yeah,
If-
Thunder wore them like every Friday, I think. In this, like in 2022, I think they wore them every Friday, so they didn't wear them but maybe they wore them every Friday. Period. I mean, those were well liked and well received by the players. It just is. It's something I want to bring up because I think it's an odd deal at the end of the day when it's hard to keep track of like which players are playing for which teams. Like if we just did like a quiz here and I was just like, like I quizzed myself earlier and said, can I name every Pacers, starting five? Like I could not. I just couldn't. So yeah, like I didn't know where Jalen Smith went. Like, all right, like, okay, that's a real bummer. But the rest of it, like, I mean, I should know. I mean, I feel like I follow the NBA enough, got enough Thunder shirts and jerseys to, for all everyone who's ever been on a podcast to wear at the same time as me. So it's, it's kind of like, all right, like, should we chill out a little bit? Should we be instead of it being 4 jerseys? 'Cause I think that's it at the end of the day. I think there's like your home, your away. I think there's one more jersey that you can always wear. Like the Thunder can wear like the orange sunsets whenever, I think. I'm sure how that works. And then they have the 4th, which is the city jersey. It's like, all right, like maybe you can't wear the orange and the black in the same season. Like this is as much as I would love for the Thunder to adopt Oklahoma State's colors, it just shouldn't be a thing.
That reminds me of one of the more hilarious things I've ever seen at a basketball game when I went to the last time the Thunder played the Grizzlies last year. They all hopped onto the court together, and then they all realized they were wearing white jerseys. And so the Grizzlies had to go back into the locker room and change to their away jerseys to like the navy blue almost. But it was so funny. They took out the warm-ups at the same time, and they looked at each other like, well, crap, what do we do?
And what I'd say, they should all just have the same color jersey and just play in the same color jersey that game. That's what they should have done. You should know your teammates. Pick up basketball. If I'm wearing gray and you're wearing blue, we're on the same team. I just choose you out of a group of 5 people I'd never seen before in my life. So that's what happens. Like, feel like you could figure it out as an NBA player. Maybe the game's too quick and you couldn't figure it out. I don't know.
Something like that.
Well, when it's overkill, also when we're talking about the Thunder jerseys, of the white one, I know they got that black. Is it black or is it like off black? It almost looks like a faded black this year.
It's kind of off black. Yeah, I'm
off black.
Yeah.
Well, the pandemic year, they had the memorial jerseys. You remember those?
Oh,
Black and gold.
With the gold.
Those were legit.
Yeah.
Not just the look of them, but the meaning. It's like it was big, and then it's like obviously you can't buy them no more. Nobody talks about it anymore. I think that was one that you incorporate. You should be able to keep some around longer, as opposed because I guarantee they probably didn't wear them less than 10 times that season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are probably the most impactful ones that we've ever had.
My other favorites in Thunder history were the Native American heritage that were like the teal or the turquoise almost.
Yep.
Oh man, those are so cool.
Yeah, I like those. Those were really nice. They did a good job on those too. But again, probably didn't wear them that many times for us to really.
Yeah, there's got to be a rule that they can like bring back something from, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, and at least for a series of games. Like in 2K, it's kind of ridiculous. You can shuffle through all 20 jersey options at every single game. You're like, why can't they do that in real life?
I don't know. Now we're on the opposite side though. We're saying, bring back every jersey you've worn before previously and wear it once a season. Now we're on the opposite side of it. So I don't know. Maybe there's no perfect answer, but
I would rather them bring back classic things first than invent new and unnecessary things now.
Yeah,
totally with you.
And mine would be let it last a little longer than just because you can't even say it lasted a season. It lasted a fraction of the season when they're wearing it. That's my thing. Either wear it more in that particular season or expand it, to last, maybe 2 or 3 years.
Well, so every 5 years of the bombing memorial. Bring back those jerseys, right?
There you
Like,
go.
make it
Oh,
like
I
an
like that.
occasion where, but also make that where that's the away jersey for every game.
Mhm.
Or the home jersey, maybe,
Go
because
all in.
that's what you can
Go
decide.
all in.
Yeah, make it the home jersey
Mhm.
for or for 20 games of the season, it's the home jersey, and the other 20 games are in Thunder Blue or whatever. I mean, I really like there's some different Thunder concepts that are made out there that are like, have the Oklahoma City, like the O in the logo actually like be the state outline with inside, which looks sick. Like that's
Oh,
a
okay.
great way to have it. I think Zev, I sent you a text to the photo the other day.
Yes, you did.
That's a really cool idea. But I don't know. It's just there's a lot. It's a lot going on all the time. Like, let's simplify it a little bit. Let's get kind of back to basketball a little bit more. Not that I'm a jersey hater, but I'm a jersey like, hey, you know what? Like, let's replace the white association jersey the Thunder wear with just that white jersey we wore like a year ago. Or with the black jersey we have this year, or with the Memorial jersey, right? Like, let's switch it out. At the end of the day, it's not
Yeah.
going to be that big of a deal. The team brand and team identity, like, Thunder have been around 15 years now. Like, I think Thunder play national TV. I don't think it's a huge deal to be like, let's make sure we wear blue so that way it can be recognized.
Before you close it out,
Yeah.
can we get a Supersonics jersey? Can we make that happen?
We do not have the rights.
That would make a lot of people angry. I don't think that's going to happen.
So the Thunder do have the rights to the team history, but I believe from what I've read, they don't have the rights to the team logos.
So who we got to call? It's a phone call away, right? Come on, someone got to.
We got to make peace with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, and we'll try.
And Ray Allen. And it's just a weird deal.
Jesus Shuttleworth. Oh, sorry.
It's just a weird deal. I don't know the best answer to that one, honestly, Joel. That's a great question. But it's one of those things where we can all wear different jerseys as fans to games, but it's almost like if I'm showing up in like a red Chiefs jersey to a Chargers game, no one's going to confuse that with anything else, right? Like no one's, if I'm showing up to a powder blue jersey to a Chargers game, no one's confused that with anything else. If I show up in a, I think it's the Motor City red jersey that I have that the Pistons wore for like a year or something. It's a Cade Cunningham. It was his rookie year, their city jersey. Mm-hmm. If I show up wearing that jersey to a game and you can just see the back, you can't see the front, and you're not a huge NBA fan where you don't know you don't know Cade's just only played in Detroit, they might be like, okay, is that a Hawks jersey? Is that just another team that's red, right? Like that's just
sure.
I don't know. Let's rein it in. Let's bring it back to basics a little bit. Like let's mix it up. Like the Warriors, I know what their jerseys look like. Their jerseys are cool. They're good. The Lakers keep their classics, whatever. Like if you're a huge Pelicans fan, are you kind of like, hey, let's switch out like the regular home and away with, whatever city jersey we like the best at this point, because they all probably look fairly decent. Let's just mix it up. Every 5 years, just switch up your home and away jerseys. They're just brand new. If you've been a fan of more than 1 year, you got to buy a brand new jersey every 5 years. Like let's just do it that way.
Calvin, I wish Walter was in on this topic conversation because he bought a Paul George City Edition jersey, the black with the blue. The blue had like a little blue stripe and an orange stripe, and he messed up. He bought a fake one, and it came as a crop top. You can see his belly button. Bro, I never let him down. Never let him down all day.
Oh man,
I think we've heard the story before. With all that being said, though, I've played the outro music 3 times, so this is the 3rd time we're going to end it here. So thank you guys so much for listening to the latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. Please follow at the CGA Tour, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Joel, thank you so much as always for joining. Zev, thank you so much too for joining here, and we'll try to get back all 4 of the big 3 in OKC. I know that doesn't make any sense to anyone else besides me, but we'll try to get back everyone here, including Walt. Before too long as well, but maybe we do it over the All-Star break. We'll see. So, or before. I don't know. Got a month. Figure it out. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you again soon.
Peace.
See ya.